Welcome students. Today we will be discussing about circulatory system. This is part of your basic biology. Circulatory system is part of your basic biology. Now, this topic is important from public health perspective also. From public health perspective. The reason is 1/4 death in India. 1/4 death is due to cardiac disease. 1/4 of the death is due to cardiac disease. That is why this topic, circulatory system, becomes important. Now, what is the basic question is, what is the purpose of circulation, or why the body possesses this system or organ, its organ? So the basic point is purpose. First, going into the purpose of circulation. Purpose is what? Purpose is transport. So this is the road transport. Like for example, in our country you have road and rail transport for carrying goods, finished product, oil, gases, petroleum product, wheat, rice, vegetable, etc. from one part of the country to other. Similarly, the purpose of circulatory system or circulation is to transport what? Gases, nutrients, hormones, waste product, biomolecules, antibody, heat, etc. to different part of the body. So the primary purpose of circulatory system is your transport. Primary purpose is what? Transport. Now the circulatory system consists of heart. It consists of heart, arteries. Arteries carry pure blood or oxygenated blood. Artery carry pure blood. So that is here artery and veins. Heart, artery and veins. So arteries carry pure or oxygenated blood. They carry pure blood or oxygenated blood. Arteries. And veins, they carry impure blood. Impure blood means unoxygenated or blood with less oxygen. So veins carry impure blood or unoxygenated blood or less oxygen. Moving on to the circulatory system, we discussed that circulatory system consists of heart, artery and veins. Now let us take a look at the circulatory system or the circulation. Now in this diagram, if I go to this diagram, this is the heart. This structure is the heart. So heart is a muscular organ. The function of heart is what? It is a pump. Basically, heart is a pump that pressurizes blood throughout the body system. It pumps the blood throughout the body system. So heart is basically a pump. Now in case of heart, you have the heart has 4 chambers. Heart has 4 chambers. The upper 2 chambers are called auricles. Auricle. Right and left auricle. The upper two are right and left auricle. And similarly, the lower two are right and left ventricle. Right and left ventricle. The upper are your right and left auricle, and the lower two are right and left ventricle. So these are the four chambers. Now let us go into the functioning of the cardiac system, how it works. Now, this one is your right auricle. This portion is right auricle. This one is, if I slightly change the color, I am going for this one is left atrium or auricle. Atrium is also called auricle. This is right ventricle. This portion is right ventricle. And this one is left ventricle. So atrium that you see here is also auricle. Atrium is also called auricle. Now the blue color represents unoxygenated or impure blood. And the red represents oxygenated or pure blood. Oxygenated or pure blood. Now, impure blood from the body comes to right auricle. The impure blood first comes to right auricle. Between the right auricle and right ventricle, you have this valve-like structure. This valve is there. Valve is there between right auricle and left auricle. Now, impure blood comes to right auricle. From right auricle, it goes to first the auricle compress. The blood moves to right ventricle. Now, when the ventricle compresses, then it moves through pulmonary artery. This is a valve again here. Through this pulmonary artery to lungs. This is the pulmonary artery. This is the exception. Only artery carrying impure blood. Now this blood goes to lungs. These are the lungs. Here exchange of gases takes place, and then oxygenated blood. Once the exchange of gases have taken place, then the oxygenated blood from the lungs move through pulmonary vein. Back to left auricle. They move back to left auricle. So pulmonary vein is the only vein is the only vein that carry pure blood. So pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein are exception. They are exception. Now the pure blood comes to left auricle. Between left auricle and left ventricle there is a valve again. Now when the auricle compresses, the blood moves from left auricle to left ventricle. So blood moves from left auricle to left ventricle. Now when the ventricle compresses, the blood moves through aorta to the body. It moves through the aorta to the body. That is the process. So pure blood coming back to left auricle. When the auricle compresses, the blood moves through this way, through this valve, against this valve into the left ventricle, left auricle to left ventricle, and when the ventricle constricts, through the aorta to the body. That is how the blood supply in the body takes place. This is the representation of blood supply in the body. I will just again make a rough chart for that. Now once again I will discuss about the blood flow through the circulatory system. Now impure blood from the body comes to right auricle. From right auricle it goes to right ventricle. Here you have valve. Valves are present between right auricle and right ventricle. And from right ventricle it goes to pulmonary artery. Again here valve is there. From pulmonary artery it goes to lungs. So in lungs exchange of gases take place and now pure blood is there. From lungs through it comes to pulmonary vein. From pulmonary vein it comes to left auricle. From left auricle to left ventricle, and from left ventricle to aorta, and through aorta to body, and then from the body it returns as into. So this is the passage of blood through the circulatory system. That is what happens. Now the next topic about heart is the electrical activity of the cardiac system. Electrical activity. Just take a look at this, the diagram of the heart. Here at the right side, this is SA node, sinoauricular node, SA node. Now this is a specialized muscle which generates electrical current. So through this pathway it comes to this point, and this point is called AV node. And then through bundle of His it moves ahead. So electric current is generated at SA node, then it moves to AV node, and then through bundle of His and Purkinje fiber it is distributed in the cardiac system and then to the Purkinje fiber. That is the passage in the cardiac system. That is the passage in the cardiac system. So first let's take up SA node. SA node. So this is a specialized muscle, and this is present in the wall of right auricle. This SA node is present in right auricle, and this generates electrical impulse at regular interval. And this causes the contraction of this electricity, or this electrical generation causes the contraction of the heart muscles. This causes the contraction of the heart muscles. So the electrical signal then arrives at AV node. AV node is also called pace setter. So from SA node it arrives at AV node, and AV node is also called pace setter. SA node is also called pacemaker. SA node is called pacemaker, and AV node is called pace setter. So from UPSC point of view, you can remember only SA node, that is pacemaker. Now, this is take a look at this diagram. This is the SA node. The electrical impulse is generated at SA node. Then it arrives at AV node, and then through bundle of His and Purkinje fiber it goes to the entire cardiac system. There is a thing called ECG. There is a term called electrocardiography. So, ECG is basically recording of the electrical activity of the cardiac system, and this is in the form of this way, PQRST, like this. This is your ECG, electrocardiography. Then there is another test called TMT, or treadmill test. There is another test called TMT, treadmill test. Treadmill test is also called as stress test. Another name of treadmill test is also your stress test, or exercise electrocardiogram, or graded exercise. So remember, basically stress ECG. So what happens? A person is made to walk on the treadmill, and the speed is gradually increased. It involves walking on a treadmill at increasing level of difficulty. Say 2 km per hour, 4 km per hour, then 6 km, like this. The speed of the treadmill is increased. Speed increased gradually, and then reduced gradually. Increased gradually and reduced gradually. And in the entire period of time, the ECG is recorded, and in the whole process, the ECG is continuously recorded. ECG is recorded. The person is made to walk on the treadmill at increasing level of difficulty, and the ECG is recorded. And other parameters like heart rate, BP, and other are also monitored. So this is also called stress test. So this gives an idea about the condition of the cardiac system. Then you have artificial pacemaker. In some people the heart is not able to perform its function normally. In some people the heart is not able to perform its function normally, and in those people they have a device called artificial pacemaker. Artificial pacemaker. Now pacemaker is what? SNO. Natural pacemaker is your sino-auricular node or SNO. In some people, this specialized muscle or SN node is not able to produce sufficient amount of electricity. In that case, it is supplemented by an artificial pacemaker. Now basically this is a battery, electrical battery. Now this is the electrical battery. Artificial pacemaker is basically a battery which is inserted under the collarbone. This is inserted under the collarbone, and this is the battery. And this is the point, this is beneath the collarbone. So pacemaker is put beneath the collarbone, and the electrical lead is connected to the SNO. So this electrical lead is connected to the SNO. So pacemaker is medical device that uses electrical impulse delivered by electrode contracting the heart to regulate beating of the function. So if the SN node is not working properly, then we go for artificial pacemaker. So primary purpose of artificial pacemaker is to maintain adequate heart rate. Now heart is one organ which works 24/7. So heart works continuously. Now say this is the heart. So the muscles of heart also need oxygen for working, for oxidation. So the artery that supply oxygen to the heart muscle are called coronary artery. They are called coronary artery. Coronary arteries supply blood to the heart muscle. One of the major challenge these days is emergence of cardiac diseases. So coronary artery supply oxygen to the cardiac muscle. They supply oxygen to the cardiac muscles. Now what happens? Sometimes there is blockage. This coronary artery gets blocked due to deposition of fats. We had discussed about saturated fat and unsaturated fat. So unsaturated fat are better. The saturated fat get deposited on the wall of arteries, and sometimes cholesterol get deposited on the wall of artery, leading to cardiac disease. The surface area available for flow of blood is reduced. So basically the coronary arteries supply oxygen or blood to the cardiac muscle. And if there is blockage in the coronary artery due to deposition of fat, the cardiac muscle will not get sufficient supply of oxygen. So the cardiac muscle will not be getting sufficient amount of oxygen. And for that there is a technique called angioplasty. What is the percentage of blockage? The percentage of blockage in the coronary artery is found by angiography. This technique, angiography, tells you about the percentage of blockage, and based on the percentage of blockage, the decision can be taken about angioplasty or about bypass surgery. So either can be done. If blockage is very high, say 90% blockage is there, say 90% blockage is there, more than 90 or 90%, then one can go for bypass surgery. If more than 90%, 80% blockage is there, the doctor can suggest, okay, we should go for bypass surgery. Now, I will just show you over here how the basic aspect of bypass surgery. Let us say that this artery is blocked like this. Very high percentage of blockage is there. So what is done? You take a vein from the leg and connect it across the point of blockage. So a vein is taken from the leg and it is connected across the point of blockage. So blood moves like this, and then through this, and then finally it moves out like this. So that is the process in case of bypass surgery. That is the process in case of bypass surgery. So bypass surgery is done when blockage is more than 90%. When blockage is more than 90%, then preference is given to bypass surgery. If on the lower side 50-60% blockage of the coronary artery is there, then the doctor prefers a technique called angioplasty. So the heading of the topic was angioplasty. Coronary artery disease, angioplasty and related issue. Now angioplasty is process of placing stent. This is the process of placing stent inside the narrowed artery. Take a look over here. Here fat is deposited. These are the fat deposited in the coronary artery, and this has reduced due to deposition of fat. The flow of blood in the coronary artery is reduced. So what we do, we place the stent over here. We place the stent over here, and stent is basically a wire mesh, and then it is inflated with the help of balloon, and that is how the stent is placed in the narrowed artery or the weak artery, and this process is called angioplasty. The process of placing a stent in the narrowed artery is called angioplasty. The procedure of placing stent in the coronary artery is called coronary angioplasty. This is called coronary angioplasty. So the stent is basically a expandable metal scaffold. The stent is a metal scaffold which can be expanded by ballooning. It is a expanded metal scaffold. And this is inserted into the narrowed or weak arteries. So this improves the flow of blood through the artery. So this will improve the flow of blood through the coronary. Now the point is, The cost of this technique or angioplasty was very high, and the cost was varying from say 2 lakh to 2.5 lakh, very high cost. So cost was very high, anything between 2 to 2.5 lakh, that was the cost of the angioplasty and the process. So cost dependent on the complexity of the case, number of stent, how many stent you are placing, and the type of stent. Price was highly variable depending upon the hospital and others. Now this coronary artery disease account for 90 to 95% of the cardiovascular disease is basically coronary artery disease. Around 90 to 95% of the cardiovascular disease is primarily coronary artery disease. And due to high cost, less percentage of the patient were undergoing the process of angioplasty. So due to the high cost, very less percentage of the patient underwent the process of angioplasty. And in this background, government came out with a thing called National List of Essential Medicine, NLEM. Government came out with a thing called NLEM, National List of Essential Medicine, NLEM. So medicine and devices that are listed in NLEM, they must be sold at the price fixed by National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority. So if a device or a drug is placed in NLEM, National List of Essential Medicine, the price will be fixed by NPPA, National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority. Now NPPA came out with the price of fixing the price of coronary artery stent. According to the NPPA order, the maximum price of metal stent, bare metal stent would be something 7,000, and some stent contain drug. They have drug added onto them, and the price of this drug eluting stent would be around 30,000. So the price according to the NPPA order now varies from 7,000 to 30,000. Earlier this could go up even into lakh. So NPPA has helped in reducing the cost of stent. It has helped in reducing the cost of stent, and the government. So nowadays, in case of angioplasty, separate bill for stent and separate bill for the procedure. Is given by the hospital. That is after the NPPA order. Now moving on to NPPA, National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority. This was established. Now this can be asked even in mains. So angioplasty and NPPA can be asked even in mains. So NPPA was established, the basic function, why it was established: to fix or revise price of controlled drugs and formulations. So the basic purpose was to fix the price of drugs and formulation, and this aims to ensure price as well as availability of medicine under the Drug Price Control Order 1995. So NPPA derives its power from Drug Price Control Order 1995. Drug Price Control Order 1995. This organization is also interested with the task of recovering amount overcharged by the manufacturer from consumer. Say NPPA fixes the price of, say, paracetamol at 4 rupees per tablet, for example, 4 rupees per tab. Now if it has charged 7 rupees per tab, then in case of the surplus cost charge, 3 rupee per tab can be recovered from NPPA. 3 rupee per tab can be recovered from NPPA. And it also monitors the price of decontrolled drugs which are not under control, to keep them. So it does the work of monitoring the price of drug. If the price of drug becomes very high, then it intervenes. Now what are the functions of NPPA? Let's move into the functions of NPPA. One by one, NPPA functions. What are these functions? Number one, the first function is to enforce the provisions of drug price control order in accordance to the power delegated to it. So first function is to enforce the provision of drug price control order. Second function is to deal with all legal matters arising out of its decision. Any case is filed in the court, it has to deal with this. Number third, monitor the availability of drugs, identify shortage, whether the drug is available or not, or if there is shortage that is there, and to take remedial steps. Number fourth, to collect and maintain data on production, export, import, market share of individual companies. What is the profitability for bulk drug and formulation? So it maintains the data about production, import, export, market share of individual company about particular drugs. It also undertakes, fifth point, it undertakes either by itself or sponsors relevant study in respect of pricing of drugs and pharmaceuticals. So it can do the study by itself, or it can sponsor, it can do funding of other organizations, a medical college or any other NGO for finding out the price of the drugs. Then recruitment and appointment of its own staff. Sixth function is recruitment and appointment of staff. Number seventh, to render advice to central government on changes in the drug policy. So it suggests, advises, gives recommendation regarding what further changes should be brought in the drug policy in the current scenario. And the last function is render assistance to the central government in the parliamentary matters related to drug pricing. So the parliamentary questions that are raised regarding drug pricing, that will be also answered by this organization. The Health Ministry can ask, or the other Ministry of Chemical and Fertilizer, basically this comes under Ministry of Chemical and Fertilizer, it can answer question on behalf of government also, and it can either help or also answer the question related to parliamentary matters.